Greetings and welcome to Train Signal. You're watching Exchange 2013 Permissions. In this lesson, we're going to focus on admin and user roles under the Permissions feature in the Exchange Admin Center. With smaller Exchange deployments, you might have just one individual or two individuals that have full admin control permissions over the Exchange organization. However, in larger organizations, the ability to delegate responsibilities is an essential part to administration of Exchange. As a result, we have role groups and roles that are built in and can be expanded upon, and these are typically used with admin roles. There are also user role assignment policies that help control end-user permissions. Let's learn a bit more about built-in admin roles and these user role assignment policies. Okay, so let's get started. The admin role concept is simple. There are 67 different default admin roles, and these vary in recipient and configuration scope. The roles are added to role groups. There are 12 different built-in admin role groups to choose from. Now you're going to see in a moment that the primary role group is Organization Management. That role group looks like it has every single default admin role applied to it. However, it's important to note that it is missing the mailbox search role, and the reason for this is because the actual effort of turning on that feature, giving individuals the ability to do discovery through mailbox search, is actually something that under regulatory compliance might need to be audited. So at some point under legal regulation, it might need to be established when that role was assigned to an individual or to a group, and which individuals have the ability to perform those tasks. Let's jump over to our Exchange server and let's take a look at these built-in admin roles on the Exchange server, because it makes a lot more sense once you see this in action. Alright, so here we are on our Exchange server. If we take a look at the Exchange Admin Center, you can see here under the Permissions feature, we have admin roles and user roles. Staying focused at the moment on admin roles, you can see that there are 12 different role groups, and each of these role groups is made up of a variety of different assigned roles. You can see here Compliance Management is made up of these 6 roles. Now as we click through, you can see that different role groups have different roles assigned to them. So here's the Discovery Management role group, and that only has 2 roles assigned, Legal Hold and Mailbox Search. You can see too that no members have been assigned to this role group. But that's okay, because you can also see that no members have been assigned to this role group. Now oftentimes these same roles for each of these different role groups will also be in the Organization Management role group, and you can see here that one has what appears to be all of the different roles assigned to that role group. You can also see that in this case there is a member, and the administrator is a member of that role group. So if we wanted to add individuals into these role groups, the way we would do this is we would double-click on the group, and that gives us information about the group. It also shows us all of the roles that are assigned. And then we can click the plus sign to add more members to that role group. Keep in mind, of course, that in doing so we have to make sure that whoever we do assign to be a part of those role groups, that they're well trained, that they're individuals that we trust to perform tasks within our Exchange organization. So Organization Management, that's something that has so many different roles assigned to it that you'll want to really make sure that the individuals that you give this role group permission setting to, that they really know what they're doing. Now we mentioned a moment ago that one of the things that's different about Discovery Management is the fact that this mailbox search role is not assigned actually in the Organization Management role group. If you look down, Legal Hold is there, but Mailbox Search is not. Now we can change that. We can add that role into this role group, or we can leave it as is, and we can assign the administrator into discovery management as far as adding that administrator to this role group. So if we wanted to adjust the organization management role group itself, what we would do is we would click the plus sign under roles. We would scroll down, find mailbox search, click add, and say OK. And then save. And so now organization management, if we scroll down, has mailbox search added to it, and so now the administrator has the ability to perform discovery or e-discovery management. Because the Exchange administrator now has both of those same roles, legal hold and mailbox search, and those are the same roles that the discovery management role group has as well. So there's no reason to now add the administrator to this role group, because we can perform all of the tasks under the organization management role group. Looking at some of the other role groups, we have public folder management, and you can see the assigned roles there, recipient management, records management, server management, management, and view-only organization management. So again, if you're a smaller Exchange organization, you may have only one or two individuals working with the Exchange server, and so those individuals might just be assigned into the organization management role group. In larger organizations, however, you may want to delegate administration, and so you might put persons in the help desk role group, you might assign individuals from human resources into the discovery management role group, allow persons in the HR department to worry about things like putting a legal hold on a mailbox, or being able to perform e-discovery in the event that it's necessary for a lawsuit of some sort. So you can delegate some of these responsibilities to other IT admins, or here in the case of discovery management, to end users within your organization that you trust and train to perform the tasks that you assign here. So it seems relatively simple. There are, as we see here, if we click the roles option, it says there are 67 different roles. So we have 67 different roles, and they make up 12 different role groups. But how does it actually work under the hood? Well, that goes into the deeper side of these roles themselves with regard to how these roles actually connect back to permissions that you have over the Exchange environment. Let's jump back over to our slides and let's talk about this for a moment. Now, for most Exchange administrators, the basics of built-in admin roles may be all you ever need. You have the role groups already there. The various roles have been assigned to those role groups. You may use those role groups to assign individuals within your organization some level of permission over the Exchange environment, delegating permissions off to others, and that may help to mitigate your workload. So at this point, the amount of knowledge that you have with regard to built-in admin roles is sufficient. However, there is a deeper side to roles. Although there are 67 default admin roles, you can create additional ones, or you can tweak the ones that exist. Now you might say, well, how would I do that? How would I create additional roles? What would those roles actually be made up of? Well, that's the fun part. These roles are based on underlying PowerShell commandlets and commands that are assigned to those roles. So you can actually tweak the PowerShell commandlets that a role has, and even the parameters that are established under those commandlets. And if you want to create new roles, you can assign those new roles different PowerShell commandlets that then once you put that role into a role group and then assign individuals to that role group, they would then have the ability to perform whatever tasks you provide through the commandlets and parameters that you establish for those roles. Now, in order to accomplish all of these things, it's all done through the Exchange Management Shell. You can use the Exchange Management Shell to view information and alter information about roles. We don't want to go too deep on this subject at this time. We just wanted to whet your appetite a little bit and let you get a chance to see that the roles that we were just working with within role groups are actually built off of PowerShell commandlets. And so let's jump over to our Exchange server. We're going to run 2 commandlets in the Exchange Management Shell that will help to round out your information on roles and role groups. So the first one will be get-management role-commandlet new-mailbox. And what this is going to do is it will show you management roles that have the ability to use the new-mailbox commandlet, so that you have an opportunity to see how these different management roles are built off of commandlets. And then after that, we're going to run the get-management role entry, and we'll start with public folders as our example, and you'll have a chance to see what commandlets and parameters make up the public folders role, so that when you see that role added to an admin role group, you'll understand that behind the scenes there are commandlets and parameters that make that role what it is. Okay, let's jump over and take a look at this through the Exchange Management Shell. Alright, so let's open up the Exchange Management Shell. Alright, so to start with, we're going to type in get-management role commandlet new mailbox. So notice this. By doing that, it shows us the 3 different roles that have the ability to use the new-mailbox commandlet. And we see mail recipient creation, mail-enabled public folders, and public folders. So those 3 roles. So you can see how you can do a search for different commandlets to see which role has the commandlet permissions behind it. So public folders is one of these. Let's take a look at all of the different commandlets and the parameters that are associated with the public folder role. To do that, we type get management role entry public folders. And there it is. So you can see here we see the commandlets that are assigned to that public folder role. We see the role here, and we see the parameters that are assigned based upon those commandlets. So you can adjust this for those default roles, or you can utilize this to create new roles. You can actually copy the roles that exist and create new roles based upon the various commandlets and parameters that we have at our disposal. And then once you have those new roles that you want to create all set up, then you can assign those roles to either the built-in role groups that we currently have, or to new role groups that you create that you might want to put together for specific delegation of permissions within your Exchange organization. Again, we're not going to go much deeper than this on the subject at this point. It's good for you to know that the roles that make up role groups actually have behind them commandlets and parameters that help to drive what permissions an individual actually has when they are assigned to a role group. Let's jump back over to our slides and let's talk about user roles and the role assignment policy. In addition to admin roles, there are also user roles. And user roles are actually easier to assign, in a sense, because we use role assignment policies. You can configure policies that grants end users permissions to set their Outlook web app options and perform other self-administration tasks, such as modifying contact information, viewing and modifying distribution group membership, and viewing and modifying marketplace apps. And those are just a few. There are actually quite a number of different self-administration tasks that you can assign to the end user, or you can remove from being assigned to the end user. So let's jump back over to our server and let's take a look at the default role assignment policy for the Exchange organization. So back here in the Exchange Admin Center under Permissions, next to the Admin Roles tab, we have User Roles. And you can see here that there's a default role assignment policy. So if we just open this up, we can see the name, the description, we can see the various options that have been applied here. So my contact information, this role enables individual users to modify their contact information, including address and phone numbers. And so then you can determine within that role what they can actually modify. Here we see profile information, enables individual users to modify their name, my display name, my name, distribution groups, distribution group memberships. Here we have other roles, my custom apps, my marketplace apps, my base options, my retention policies. All of these are roles that can be applied to end users through the role assignment policy. And so we can keep looking here. These are all different roles with permissions in the background. So this is the default role assignment policy, and you can see that it doesn't allow for everything. So here you can see it doesn't allow for retention policies for individual users to view their retention tags and view and modify their retention tag settings and defaults. And so you might say, well, I would never give my end users this ability. Well, that's fine, but then you can see that that's why it's not part of the default setting, as opposed to my text messaging, which enables individual users to create, view, and modify their text messaging settings. You might say, well, that's something I don't really care about, so that I would give to them. And again, that's why it's part of the default, because this is stuff that typically you would want to give to your end users that you would not want to manage as an Exchange administrator. So you can see the different settings here. It's not a lot, but it's enough to give you an idea as far as what you can and can't do through the role assignment policies. And then as far as the application of these policies, if we go to recipients, and let's say we just open up one of our recipients here, if we go to mailbox features, you can see here that everyone is assigned the default role assignment policy. So if there is another policy, you can select the down arrow and then change the policy. But in our case, we only have the one default role assignment policy. So not something that's too difficult to work with, really. And in most cases, you might want to just leave the default role assignment policy unless you feel that some of these things need to be disabled or you need to add additional features through the checkboxes there of the policy itself. Alright, so let's jump back over to our slides. Let's continue the concept of the scenario where we have various Exchange-oriented admin tasks that we have to perform. And so let's see what tasks have been assigned to us with regard to permission settings through admin roles and user roles. So going back to our scenario for SpyTech Prime, let's take a look at a few different administration tasks that we're going to be provided with, and then we'll jump back over to the server and we'll complete these tasks. So first of all, we're going to add Joel Agrawal to the Discovery Management Role group. In the event of any type of legal issue where individuals come in and require mailbox search, Joel will be the individual that we point them off to, and Joel works in HR, and so that will be Joel's responsibility to perform various mailbox searches and e-discovery. Then we're going to create a new role group that includes the following roles: mail recipient creation, mail recipients, recipient policies, and public folders. And then last, we're going to create a new role assignment policy called Full Control that allows end users complete self-administration control. And then we'll apply that policy to 2 of our end users. So that's quite a bit to do. Let's get to it. So for starters, the first Exchange task that we've been given is to add Joel Agrawal to the Discovery Management Role group. So we have the role group here. We open it up. We can scroll down, click the plus sign. Let's locate Joel's account. There he is. He's there in the box. We click OK. So at this point, Joel Agrawal has the ability to perform legal hold and mailbox search, and so as a member of the HR department, that will now be his responsibility in the event there's a need for him to actually grab a hold of a mailbox and place a legal hold on it, or perform a mailbox search for e-discovery purposes. The next assignment we have is to create a role group. So we can do that by clicking the plus sign here. Alright, and so the first thing we're going to do is give it a name. We'll call it the Recipient and Public Folder Management Role Group. We could provide a description, but we'll leave it blank for now. That's just extra window dressing there. Then we see the various roles. We'll click the plus sign. We have to provide the mail recipient creation role, the mail recipients role, the public folders role, and the recipient policies role. Alright, we have all the different roles there. We say OK. And we'll click Save. And so there you see, now we have that new admin role, recipient and public folder management. So at any given point, if we wanted to add members to that role group, we can do that. And so you can see it's not so difficult to create role groups. Creating roles is another story, because that involves taking either existing roles and copying them and then making adjustments to the various commandlets and parameters, and all of that's done through the Exchange Management Shell. But creating role groups themselves is actually pretty simple, and then being able to assign members to them is just as easy. Now the last part is to create a new role assignment policy. So we'll click the little plus sign here, and we're going to call it Full Control. And what we're basically going to do is assign everything. We're going to really load this up. All of the different settings, we're going to select them all. We click Save. Alright, and so now we have this full control user role policy, and what we're going to do is now we're going to apply it to two of our users, Brent Hain and Edna Dorking. So if we go back to recipients, here we have Brent Hain. We can go to the mailbox features, and now we can see there is this other policy. And here we have Edna. Again, we go to mailbox features, the role assignment policy, select full control, and click Save. So as you can see, it's relatively easy to use built-in role groups and roles. It helps for you to delegate permissions to other individuals within the organization, either end users or other IT admins that you're working with in your Exchange environment. And at the same time, you are able to see that under permissions we have those user roles and those role assignment policies, and those policies help to define what they can do in terms of self-administration and Outlook web app and so forth. So we hope you found this informative. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next lesson.